And if you have not attended any session of TPJ before, can you signify you will be in our class? If you have not attended before any session, okay, can you kindly stand up and we do some migration? Kindly stand up. And if you have not attended any session of TPJ before, can you signify you will be our class? If you have not attended before any session, can you kindly stand up and come to Christianity Explored. So you are welcome to the course. As we have said, in this course is going to run for 8 weeks. And in this course, we are going to be taking a session every week. We're going to be meeting here between 11 and 1 in the afternoon. Don't let me be looking for you about. And once it is 11 o'clock, just come in. We are going to run for 8 weeks, as I said, and we are taking each session per week. If you are not going to be here, we have people that you can tell. Either you are going to the court, or you are sick, or you are serving a punishment. If you are not going to be here for whatever reason, let us know, so that we can adequately cater for your attendance. If you don't do that, we'll take you as having gone our work. And for this course, for you to graduate, we always say it, you have to attend at least 5 classes. You have to attend 6 sessions for you to graduate. I am one of the facilitators that will be taking the course, and my name is Kunle. My other facilitator who we are going to take the course together is here, and he is Ikeja. Now we want to meet you. I have been involved with Christianity for over 20 years. So, can we meet you, sir? You just put your name. Just put your name as we have put it, so that we won't be referring to inside here. Let it be big so that people can see. Dr. Kingsley. Yes, sir. How long have you been involved with Christianity, or are you involved with Christianity at all? You just say it as I've just said it, that I've been involved with Christianity for 20 years. So you tell us your involvement with Christianity, whether you are involved with Christianity or not. This is actually a session of 5 minutes. Can you? So we are running for time. Just tell us your name. Yeah, thank you. The next person. Just write your name. How have you been involved with Christianity, sir? What's your background with Christianity? Yes, sir. You are in my class, sit down, sir. those in front are in my class. So as you are writing your name, just tell us your involvement with Christianity. And that's how you are going to run it. You run this session, while you are running this session, is to know precisely how you can gauge the class. Like if somebody comes and tells you he's a Muslim, I've not been involved with Christianity at all. Somebody can come. So you want to, as you are doing the introduction, you want to gauge the class. Who are you involved with? And that's why I said, I introduced myself. My name is Kunle. I've been involved with Christianity for 30 years. Someone will become, my name is this, I've not been involved with Christianity. Or, you know, that is to gauge what you are in the class. It's a whole session. You also, at this point, some people may not even be able to write their names. So you are gauging your class. You are already gauging the class.
But they are not saying
they are not talking. They say you are not talking. So we can't gauge this class.
Okay, I'm Prosper Separate. I'm engaged in Christianity for 28 years.
Good.
It should make it look more lively.
Yes. And I think I will stop with you, man. You can just take around here. So you can see the importance also of the seating arrangement.
Engagement from back.
Engagement from back, very good. So you begin to, from engagement from back, you begin to know who you are dealing with in the class. Thank you. So we have.
Is there anything like engagement from that?
Yes, that's our own engagement. That's our own experience. So you don't need to ask. You don't need to ask. You don't need to ask. That's the class.
Please. So in this section, there's nothing like wrong or right answer. Don't allow them whatever they say.
You are just knowing you're trying to know your class, and that's very important. That's very key. So when somebody says engage, it gives the question that brings in your mind. When somebody says I've been engaged from back, you can place that person. So you won't argue with the person. As a class, you know, we need to set ground rules. Who can tell us what ground rules are? I will accept that for now. Code of conduct, yes. Do's and don'ts. Okay, so do's and don'ts, code of conduct, what we can use to actually regulate our being here effectively. So can you come out with some of the ground rules that we need? Can you come up with some of the ground rules that will govern our being here for the period of the 8 weeks that we are going to be here? We are not going to knock anybody on the head if you miss the ground rule, but we are going to realign you back to the ground rule. Yes, ma'am?
Whenever a question is asked, there should be no chorus answer.
No chorus answer. Yes. No noise making.
Silent. Time.
What about time?
Punctuality.
Punctuality being on time.
Should be present at the class.
You are not in the class.
Yes, please.
No movement when the lecture is on.
No movements.
Regulate movements.
Regulate movements.
No eating.
It's true. Yes, we have to accept that because yes, it's true. Because some people they bring their food, and because they don't want to miss the class, they bring their food. So they might be tempted to bring their food. So when you say no eating, you'll be guided by that. Any other one? No sleeping. Okay, no sleeping or attentiveness.
No sleeping?
Yes. And okay. Okay, we are going to add two with all of this that you have added. We are going to add confidentiality and security. Confidentiality and security. What do we mean by confidentiality? What we mean by confidentiality is everything that we discuss here, we keep here. We keep it within ourselves here. And we are not to make fun of people based on what they have shared here. And when we talk of security, what we're talking of security is as much as we want to be open and keep whatever we discuss here to be within ourselves. If you discuss anything about harming any other member in here or about something that breaks the rule of this prison facility, we are not bound by our confidentiality. We are here to secure and to move by the principle that is laid down in this facility. So if you are telling me anything about harming someone or about disorganizing the peace of this facility, I am not bound to keep it silent. So that is what we are all going to abide by. And if you all agree to this, can you just append your signature to this to ensure that you abide by it so that we can go on. Yes. Yes, next person please.
Because of time.
Yes. Because of time, let's just for ordinary, everybody must attend this if you are attending this course. And for some other people that actually said that, oh, some people join second week, some people join third week. When they join, you must come back for them to attend the ground rules. No question, we are not asking questions. You ask your question after this session.
Thank you.
So at this point, there is one thing that is missing. At this point, these are the rules that's going to guide us in this place. Because of our time, we have a short video session that introduces the course. But we are not going to be taking that now as we have agreed. We are going to take that on another week 9 to take all the video sessions together.
Okay, at this point, we need to actually ask ourselves, what do you think Christianity is all about? Please, there are 2 or 3 ways we're going to ask questions and we're going to get feedback from us. You know, there are a section that will say, okay, shout out your answers. And when you shout out, we write the answers on the board. You know, and when we say brainstorm through sticker, we have a sticker label. We'll give it to you. You know, the answer you give, we'll be able to stick it at the board and we'll be able to read it out. So my sister now will not give you just shout out, what you think Christianity is all about. Yeah, you shout out this section, you need to shout out your answers. What do you think Christianity is all about? We are writing. We are supposed to respond. But because of time, whatever the answers is, you understand? We'll now go back to this. In this section, we are using the football pitch. You can use any other pitch. It can be lawn tennis. You understand? But the essence of it all is just for you to use it to project, to let them know that this is it. Now, looking at this football pitch, what can you see? You see what? Spectators. Two type of what? Spectators. Then you see spectators, supporters. Then what do you see again? Just looking, you will see also what? Spectators, and you see what? On the field, and what else again can you see?
Some bench waiting.
And what do you see again? Okay, so for us to explain this football pitch represents Christianity. And in this football pitch, different people are playing different roles. Now we are going to look at here. The people here, are they playing?
No.
What are they busy doing? That means there are those that will not actually step into the field of Christianity. They are out there. What are they doing there? They call themselves Christians. We have them. Then also outside we have what? Spectators. They are not opposing, they are not supporting. They are just what? Neutral. Because this one will be cheering. Why this one will be what? Hailing their people, isn't it? To motivate them to play. But this one is just neutral. It's neither here or there. Then when you now get to the soft bench, what happened here? They are not playing now, they are what? They are warming up. And the category you see here, I remember my friend, when I gave my life to Christ, I said, my friend, you have to join. He said, you will not go to where you don't enjoy life. Me, I want to enjoy life. You understand me? Before I will come in. I'm not playing now, but I will play later. Those are the people you see here. Then, living there, you say, I was once in the field. I got injured. I got offended. That's why I'm outside the field. I'm no longer playing. And you have people that are injured as a result of they were once in the field playing and they were injured. And of course, you have what? Those that are on the field. And on the field, you see different what? You have the defenders, you have the goalkeeper, you have what? The attackers, you have different. And in Christianity, this actually is an illustration for us to see. Do you understand? Now, this is the section we are going to do. Now, looking at this board that will represent Christianity and looking at your answer, now come and help us. Come and show me where exactly you fit in here. Where are you playing? No. We are going to turn it. You are going to come and just put a cross or a X just to let me know where you fit in. Are you playing? Are you injured? Are you spectator? Even if you are playing in the field, what is your role in this field? So we're going to turn the board one after the other. You come and write cross. Please, can we do that now quickly? Please, let's turn the board. So the essence of what you're doing at this point, so that you'll be able to know each and every of your, participants, you'll be able to know where you fit in, and that will also help you to engage them further. Now they are mapping. The essence of it all, we're going to just use one marker, so you won't know who is playing where. But this board, after this section, we will not look at it again until the 7th week. when we have actually completed the process of what? Letting them to discover for themselves who Jesus is, then the question will be asked, are you willing to follow? If now you are willing to follow, then let us revisit the board to see where you are going to fit in now. You actually know where you are supposed to come in the field. That is what this section is all about. The way you all understand it, and believe me, when you take it the way you should, you will see that you'll be able to communicate, the real value of what Christianity, Yes, I know all of us will mark now, you will mark one place, but if you are going to deal with people that have never experienced Christianity before, they will tell you that they are either outside, or they are playing the dance, or they are supporting, and that's what this section is all about. Thank you. Where's my facilitator?
Because the word gospel me. So you can use
Now, you have the flip chart in your hand, isn't it? So can you just write, stick notes?
yes.
What does the gospel mean in your own language? Your own understanding. Can you write it? Okay? Thank you. Yeah. Come on, please.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Please take note again. Take that one. When you are giving them the sticker letter, let them know the side they need to write. If not, if they write the side that does not have the gun, it will not stick. So it's very important too.
Okay, what we have here, the first one said, the gospel means good news about Jesus. The next one said, the gospel means good news. The second person said, good news of salvation. The other one said, gospel means good news. It means the life of Jesus Christ.
And if you have not attended any session of TPJ before, can you simplify? You may have asked. If you have not attended any session, can you kindly stand up and
After TPJ, tomorrow we go into STP. So we also have looked at how that we must necessarily cultivate partnerships and cultivate support and all that. So, and I told them we are going to learn a lot from you. Yeah, I'm sure you can see us now. So let me stop and allow you to talk to us, and at the end, if there are questions, I'm sure you will be glad to respond to such questions. So over to you.
Okay, well thank you so much. I'm really honored by the invitation to share with you guys today.
Thank you.
Who's ready for lunch? So for me, I'm in Washington, D.C. and it is 8:45 in the morning. And I think for you it is about 1:45, right? Yeah, so already you've worked a full day and I'm only just beginning.
That's the wonders of God.
Let me introduce myself and then I'll just share a few words with you, and then as Vincent said, I'm very happy to answer any questions that you have. My name is Ray Wood. I do live and work in Washington, D.C. I work for Prison Fellowshiip International and I am the Global Director of Programs. And I started with Prison Fellowshiip International about 5 years ago, and I had a real sense and call to come to Prison Fellowshiip International and launch the Prisoner's Journey program, which is probably of all of our programs the one that's closest to my heart, because I've been working on it the longest, and I've invested most of my time and energy into that program with Prison Fellowshiip Nigeria, which, by the way, PFI considers Nigeria one of our shining stars. always an honor to give thanks to Prison Fellowshiip Nigeria. But when I started in 2014, TPJ was only running in 2 countries, Nigeria and South Africa. But today, running 40 countries all over the world, and we've graduated already 250,000 prisoners from the program. So in just 5 years, we're so proud of the work that these 40 countries have done, and we are so proud of the influence that Nigeria has had all over the world. What you may not know is that all of the lessons that we've learned from Nigeria, who was the first to run this program, we've incorporated into our training. And so in that way, you have an influence around the world, because we highlight and promote what Prison Fellowshiip Nigeria is doing well with the other 38 countries running the program. So you're volunteering not just for the country of Nigeria, you're actually volunteering for a worldwide movement. And we have the honor of sharing your good works all over the world. So let me first stop and say thank you for the work that you do. So you should know that we plan to graduate 1 million prisoners from our program by 2024. And you're a big part of that plan, Benson. So we're looking forward to celebrating with you in about 5 more years when we reach that 1 million prisoner mark. So we'll have a big party. Get ready. But what I want to talk to you about today, what I want you to think about, is this program is running in 40 countries. That means it's running in 7 regions of the world, in nearly 20 different languages, and in 40 unique and interesting cultures and contexts. So the program is running in differing places. And yet, each and every one of these places are utilizing the exact same program materials that you have, translated into their language. They're running the same videos that you're running, and they undergo the same training that you're undergoing today. And the remarkable question I would ask is, how is it that this program can be run in the same way, with the same materials across so many cultures and so many different languages? And I would suggest to you the reason that we can do that, and we can do it successfully, is because there's a universal and unifying principle that transcends culture and transcends language, and that's Jesus. Now, I was in Nigeria a couple weeks ago, so I met with many of you. I see some familiar faces on the front row, parties. So, and I appreciate, I've been to Nigeria twice. Benson's been an incredible host. I love and I appreciate the country, but I could never live there. It's way too hot for me. And I enjoy the cool weather of Virginia here in the United States. But what was interesting is, while I was there a few weeks ago, Benson would introduce me to prison officials and prisoners and volunteers, and he would always say, I want to introduce you to my sister from another mother, right? Yeah. Because the truth is, I look different, and you look different than me. But the point that Benson was making as he was introducing me to his network was that even though we look differently, and we come from different countries, we're all part of the same family. And we all have the same Father in heaven. And this is universal. And this is what unifies us together. But more than that, we also have the same Word of God. Regardless of your language, regardless of your culture, regardless of your country, we all have and we all read the same Word of God. And this also unifies us. But more than that, we also have the same charge or the same mission from Jesus. Regardless of where we are in the world or what language we speak, Jesus has said to each of us that we are to love God with all our heart, all our strength, with all our soul, and with all of our mind. We are also to love our enemies. We are to love our neighbors, and we're to love ourselves. And this also unifies us into the same family. But the prison fellowship family has an additional bond of unity, and that is our common mission to prisoners. I find it very interesting that at the very beginning of Jesus' ministry, in Luke, after he comes out of the wilderness, after he has encountered Satan, he comes out and he gives his very first sermon in a synagogue, and he preaches from Isaiah. And he clearly states at the beginning of his ministry that he was anointed to bring hope and to bring freedom to the poor, the blind, the oppressed, and the prisoner. His first public statements to the world included the prisoner. And then at the end of Jesus' ministry, he commissioned all of us to make disciples. And at Prison Fellowship, as a family, we are united and we have a commission to love and to bring hope to and disciple prisoners, specifically. And I love this about my job, and I know that you love this about your service in the period. Now, we're also called to minister to widows and orphans, aren't we? And we love to serve children's prisoners. We love to serve families. We love to serve victims of crime, and all of that is good, it's right, it's spectacular. But a transformed victim will not break the cycle of crime. A transformed child of a prisoner or a transformed family will not break the cycle of crime. But a transformed prisoner will. A transformed prisoner will break the cycle of crime and not return to prison. And when that transformed prisoner is released back into the world, he will influence his child. He will influence his family. He will influence his community. And in this way, through the transformed prisoner, PFI believes that the prison fellowship family will change the world. It is the ripple effect, one prisoner at a time. And it's for this reason that PFI, not PF Nigeria, PFI, we invest the bulk of our energy and resources into the beneficiary that is the prisoner, because we believe in that ripple effect. And this is one component of the Ministry of Prison Fellowship Nigeria. And TPJ and Justice and Peace are tools that we believe will allow us to change the world. One prisoner at a time, one prison at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time, one country at a time. And we have stories, just like you. We have stories from all over the world indicating that lives are changing. And those of you that are running TPJ in prisons, I know that you're seeing it firsthand, and you're seeing those stories of lives that are being changed by an encounter with Jesus. And it's so important. It's so important that we can communicate that change to the world outside. We have to communicate it. And I don't know about you. I don't know what it's like in Nigeria, but I can tell you here in the United States, there is nothing good when I turn the news on. When I look at CNN or MSNBC or our local news stations, there's never any good news in reporting. It's all bad news. But you and I, we have so much good news to share with the world. And PFI as a mechanism to share that news with the world. And it's the good news of Jesus, who is still alive and bringing light to the darkest places in the world, namely prisons. So the question is, how do we share that good news? Because I don't live in Nigeria. I rely solely on the information that you collect and provide back to me. So part of our agreement between Prison Fellowshiip International and Prison Fellowshiip Nigeria to run these programs is that Prison Fellowshiip Nigeria will collect specific types of data and stories that they share with us on a quarterly basis. So if you don't know this, PFI we meet with Benson, we meet with Victor, and we meet with Bookie 4 times a year just to collect information about the good news of Jesus working in Nigeria. So the news that they share with us, all of that data, the number of prisons that are running TPJ in Nigeria, the number who are invited, the number of prisoners who graduate, the number of volunteers supporting the program, all of that data transcends Nigeria. Because we take it beyond the boundaries of the country. We combine it with the data we get from the other countries running the program, and then we build a story of impact, a story of change, a story of what Jesus is doing in the prisons around the world. And why is that important? Because we have a responsibility as citizens of the kingdom of God, as disciples who have been charged to make disciples, we have a responsibility to prove the program works, to prove that lives are changing, and in the long term, that the cycle of crime will break, that recidivism will drop. We have that responsibility as good stewards of the tool and the resources that Jesus has trusted us with. So we collect that data, we combine it with the other countries, and we tell a story about a global movement. It's not just what Nigeria is doing, it's a global movement of change where Jesus is at the center. And we share that story for 2 specific reasons. We share that story to inspire people to pray, and we share that story to inspire people to give financially to PFI so that we can continue to provide materials for you, so that we can continue to provide training to prison fellowships all over the world, so that we can continue to serve and to equip prison fellowship community. But the good news is, which I'm sure you talked about today already, is that you can use that exact same story to inspire the people inside Nigeria to pray. And you can use that same story to inspire the people of Nigeria to give financially, not to me, but to PF Nigeria, so that PF Nigeria can provide you with training, can hire staff, can run events inside the prisons, can have t-shirts for graduates, and can inspire and continue the discipleship of those graduates of our programs. Running a program is more than volunteering. It is more than going to prison and sharing the revelation of Jesus. In order to be successful at this program, whether you're in Nigeria, or you're in Spain, or you're in Colombia, in order to be successful, we have to have a plan. We have to have a strategy to grow the program. And that means we need procedures. We need processes to ensure the program is a quality program. And so that we can collect evidence that it works. Because when we have evidence that it works, we can begin a cycle of receiving financial resources to sustain the program, both from PFI's sustainment responsibility as well as PF Nigeria's sustainment responsibility. Now I'm going to give you the most important piece of information right now, so get ready, because I don't think you've ever heard this before. But this process of data collection and reporting that allows us to tell the story of Jesus, this data collection and reporting is a biblical concept. It's biblical to collect data and to report it. And let me tell you why. If the writers of the Old and the New Testaments did not collect data, if they did not collect stories and then report them, the Bible would not exist today. Jesus transformed lives by telling stories, parables. Those that were healed by Jesus, they told their stories to their communities and inspired others to seek Jesus for themselves. That's how Jesus became so popular. It was all spread by word of mouth. But today, we have technology. So we spread it by email, by social media, we spread it through books, through blogs, through online posts. The data collection and reporting is not only a biblical concept, I would also say it's necessary for us to grow the program and to sustain the program. This is what allows us to inspire others and prove or demonstrate that God is still on the move in Nigeria and around the world. So when Vincent or Victor or Boogie, when they call you and they say, please, I need to know what's happening in your state, it is so that we can build this story of a global movement of what Jesus is doing. People are so tired of turning the news on and hearing about terrorists and explosions and violence and crime. With technology today, we have an opportunity to share the real story, that God is still working in the midst of all of this bad news. And probably the good news, if we can tell it properly, will outweigh the bad news. So I'll finish just by saying this and take some questions. Really, I'm so pleased to see you all gathered in this kind of training environment, and I hope that you take everything that you're learning and you're able to replicate it into your states, into your volunteers, with your churches. But you gotta tell the good news. And you're not just telling the good news about a transformed life, you're telling the good news with evidence. Your stories have to have evidence. This is why data is so important. You've got the evidence to prove that the program is making an impact, that we're changing lives, and that we're going to break the cycle of crime. So we're called to love the kingdom of God. And we're called to do it with integrity. And we're called to share that good news with the rest of the world. And thank you so much for being part of this global movement. I pray that God would bless you all, and that He would know good and faithful servants.
Thank you very much, really. It's always a delight listening to you. And you have re-emphasized and reinforced what we've been telling ourselves. Thank you so much, and he that watereth shall be watered. And our prayer for you is that God will continue to increase you and grant you all the wisdom and courage and strength and protection, safety as you travel around the world, motivating and encouraging nationals to tell the good story. The Lord bless and keep you in Jesus' name. Amen. So now, questions? If If you have a question, you have to stood up. So, yeah, any question? I hope we had that clearly.
Yes.
Good. Do you have any questions? And please feel free to ask. Well, yes, so we are.
Yes, thank you. You talk about things
Come forward, come near the front.
Yes, you are ready. Okay. Thank you very much. We so much enjoy your explanations and discussions about this global movement. We're very grateful.
Say your name and state. Say your name and state.
Okay, my name is Ikeja Oluyombo. I come from Ondo State, Nigeria, Southwest Nigeria. Can
Nice
you
to
please?
meet you.
Okay, nice meeting you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, can you please explain further about this collection of data? I think you say you want to give us a format.
Could you say that one more time?
The collection of data and reporting. Can you please expatiate more?
Sure. So we meet with all of the prison fellowships that are running our program 4 times a year, and we ask them to report to us on specific data points. So we ask for what we call quantitative data, which are numbers, as well as qualitative. The rule of thumb when you think about data collection is you want to have one or the other because they support one another. So we ask PF Nigeria every quarter to give us quantitative data and quality data, which explains the quantitative data. So we ask for 7 quantitative metrics. The number of prisons where the program is running, the number of prisoners who are invited to the program, the number who graduate from the program, the number of courses, the number of volunteers who are facilitating the program, and we also ask for the number who continue in discipleship. And then the 7th metric that we collect is the number of countries running the program. So that discipleship metric is an incredibly important number to us because that indicates a graduate has made a decision to continue their experience or their journey with Jesus. So those are the 6 to 7 points we ask every quarter from Prison Fellowship Nigeria, and it should encompass the entire country. On top of that, we also ask, hey, what's working really well in the program? Because we're always looking to see how can we improve the program. We also ask what's not working. So what challenges are you having with access, with volunteer mobilization, with financial sustainment? And in that way, we can help national ministries build strategies to overcome their challenges. And then the third piece of quality data we ask for are stories. Now, a story is more than a testimony. It's more than a quote. A story, what we're looking for are stories of change, anecdotal evidence that an encounter with Jesus through our programs is causing transformation on the inside. So we look for stories that indicate that amount of change. And then what we do is we take all of that information and we compile it into what's called a global dashboard. And these global dashboards are available to everybody. So if you or your volunteers are members of PFI's TPJ Facebook group, you'll get those every quarter. Or you can just ask Prison Fellowship Nigeria for them and they can provide it. But we provide a global picture of what's happening quantitatively around the world. And then we also provide a storyboard It's a collection of stories from around the world about how Jesus is working in the lives of prisoners through our program.
Thank you very much.
Does that help? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, it is. Thank you very much.
It's a lot of information, but what's important for you to know is we take both of those, that quantitative and qualitative data. Not only do we share it with the world, we specifically share it with our stakeholders for fundraising reasons. As evidence that the program is working, so that they should continue to invest in us so we can continue the good work. So it serves a dual purpose. It allows us to understand if the program is working and then to share the good news with the world, but it also allows us to fundraise because it's evidence that the program is working.
Okay, next question. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The Reverend Olufemi Michael, Ondo State.
Hi.
Thank you very much. You talked about data analysis and quantity as well as qualitative data collection. And then I want to align it to discipleship training. We have those who have actually given their life to the Lord Jesus Christ sincerely, but they are not taking part of the discipleship program. And then that does not mean that they have not given their life to the Lord Jesus or they are not interested about discipleship. But we have some variables that militate against having discipleship programs in our prisons, talking about the number of manpower to release these people out so that we can run in pari passu the TPJ programs, the discipleship program, and other religious activities being hosted by other denominations. How will that now affect? Because we have those variables that will tend to affect the Nigeria factor or the Nigeria TPJ programs in this way. So what do you think that needed to be done so that we can be able to give cognizance to that at the same time to get a better result? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I commend you for that, and it's not an uncommon challenge. So right now, so you know, as a country, Nigeria actually has a very high discipleship rate, and we call it a continuation rate. So one, that's very good. But the variables that you have just mentioned, that's why that qualitative report is so important, because the numbers don't tell the story. But what you're saying to me is, even though there's a high rate of graduates continuing discipleship, it could be more if we could mitigate some of these other variables. I mean, that's essentially the story you tell me. So that's a good news, and that's a great problem to have. So without understanding the full context of what you're facing in your prisons, I would simply say, once you identify a problem or you identify a challenge, your next step is to develop a strategy to overcome it. So when you identify your problem, the next question is why? Is it because I don't have enough volunteers? Then I need to build a strategy to mobilize more volunteers. Is it because I don't have the right kind of material? Then I need to build a strategy to find the right material or partner with another organization who has the right material. So once you start with your problem, you break down the why, and then you can address the how. And in your specific case, what you're facing, you would probably want to sit down with the leadership of Prison Fellowshiip Nigeria to say, how can we get support to overcome these challenges in my state? Does that help?
Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Any other? Okay. So really, we want to thank you most sincerely for your time and for your encouragement. We look forward to future opportunities where you'll be live and direct in this kind of gathering. But thank you so much for sparing your time and for sharing with us the grace and wisdom of God in your life. Thank you so very much. Thank you. I love your hands.
Yeah, they all come. Bye guys. God bless you.
My name is Soji. You know most of us at face. Some of you only know me by reputation and by email. I'm not as bad as my mail. It's the condition you put in the finance. Most of the states here are old. I can tell you, you have 26 chapter, 25 are old. And so that's what we want to talk about. I have where is the man?
No, you're playing. Last year. But it's good.
It's not paid. It's not paid. Okay. I will not read slide by slide because most of what I want to say have already been said. But you will go with the slides, so you have the opportunity of reading some of the things I put there. Basically, we want to talk about how they can't read this. You need to put it properly.
Nigeria.
It should be Nigeria. I did this very early this morning because I lost my slide. So that's why I couldn't show up. But it should be correct. Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to talk about our reporting. And the topic they gave me, I forgot. So I changed the topic to stewardship. But it's all about we being accountable as stewards of God's resources. The EP mentioned the fact that when we have products from PFI, they expect they usually fund 30% and they want us to do 80%. And then most of our challenges with that 80%. I mean, we say I've been doing 80% funding without complaining. We've been doing 80%. But you see, you also give us problems. Permit me to use the word problem because your reporting is very, very poor. There is no state that is reporting properly. So when the PFI team comes, they just left Nigeria. We are challenging giving evidence of the 80% we have done. So PFI gives 100 naira. They expect you to supply the balance and then show evidence that you actually did. Now you will tell me in your state that you've done that, or you will never, even to send proper report of what you've done, we won't get it. And our coordinator will call you and tell him, are you my employer? I have other things I'm doing. And then we can't tell PFI when we come that, see, sorry, we don't have the time. That's the feedback that some of you give to our colleagues in the office. Say, please don't disturb me. I have other things I'm doing. Do you think I'm being paid by building fellowship? You think it's not true? I won't call them to say, they will say it when they come. So that's what we get, and then. Hello, what do you say, sir?
I said, that's what someone doesn't say in their house.
Okay, they say it in their house.
They say it.
They, not just in their house, they say it.
You mean they say it? And
Yes, they say it out. You call the police. You don't so please send reports. Say, please stop disturbing me. I have other things I'm doing. But if they have not sent the 50,000, they'll keep calling. Please send the money, send the money, send the money. Immediately they get the money, that's the end. And when PFI comes, I wish some of you were around when they come. These people are very detailed. Very, if they give you 100 naira, you account not just for that 100 naira, you also show that you actually put in your own money. And when we ask you, where is the story? Say, I'm not interested. Praise the Lord. So let's go. So, as an effective steward of finances, continue. And okay, you could read now, so I won't do much of the reading. Like this from Luke 12:42. Whom is not shall make ruler over his household to give them their portion of in due season. If you say steward, what do we really mean? Go on. I won't get so much of Bible because all of us are pastors. We can be trusted, yeah. Christians steward is trustworthy. You can be trusted to make wise decisions concerning the resources. Go on. I did not spell the name of Ray well. I said, these have been exhaustively treated by Ray. Please ask for a slide. She came to us and did a wonderful job, and I would want you to have a slide on how to source this money. Quite good. I went through this. Different sources I like continuously. The funding is here. Get donor funding, generate income, mark investment. I think there is an attachment to my slide that I will show on how to report it. But these are three basic things. Get donor. Don't think our donors must always be PFN. If we do what we need to do, the ED mentioned that what essentially are the things that PFN is using to get their funding. They've gone 100,000 kilometers ahead of us, but they are still using our own testimony. So if they are using our testimony, why can't we use it ourselves? You need to, I'm sure some of us have not even checked PF Nigerian website, not the talk of PFI website. You need to check their site and see the things they do. Read their newsletter sometimes. And you see the testimony. Especially when you talk of some of these programs, they use our testimony from Nigeria. These are the things they present to donors, and they get funds. And then they share the funds to countries. How many countries does PFI have? 40. Share those things. But we that have the testimonies, we always say there's no money. Continue. Funding, you know, we're continuing on the rating. Then, please, accountability. That's where we shouldn't talk of accountability when we mention Christians. Unfortunately, some of us here will not do business with Christians. Is it true?
It's true.
So it shouldn't be a topic that we should be discussing, but it's so unfortunate. And accountability for me is not just about money. It's about asking you again to send reports. Why should I ask you to send reports? When I've already told you this program is how it will run, you must send reports, but you will refuse to send reports. Auntie, how many states send reports regularly? How many? 4. But even out of the 4, how many send the kind of report that you requested for? 1. I know of 1, 2. And we're all here, coordinators. I want to talk. I'm sure if I give you microphone and come and preach on accountability, 2 hours and still talking. But see, the point is not in talking, but in doing these things. If you are accountable, they've told you these are the set metrics for this program. You must report. The first time I stumbled on the ED, giving the feedback was via Skype. I took it. And then it was like our NPR. The way you know all those small boys with no fire, you say you're a married man, eh? You cannot just be running a rubber shop. They don't stop to look at the clinical. I felt bad. Bad because we are making our ED to look bad as if he doesn't know what he's doing because you refuse to send reports. And these guys, they check every line because before they will give you a program, they will show you the metrics. You must do this, you must do this. But when we are asked to send those reports, we feel they are turning this into a word they are now. Why this thing is too academic? They are not even quoting scriptures here. You know, but if you shouldn't be talking accountability when we are talking to Christians. But we just refuse to do the right thing. That's why when people complain, Nigeria is not good, it's because Christians. I just, ponder that how many Christians, how many disciples did Jesus have? How many did he when he was going? When he was going, I think the last chapter of the book of Luke. It's one scripture that usually keeps me thinking. That these are people that after, when he was crucified, all of them ran. It wasn't only Thomas that ran. All of them left. And yes, he turned to them and said, go into the world. He said, how could he have faith in such people? That's why I still believe that they are still hope for Nigeria. Because these are people that were with him for more than 3 years, saw the miracles, and the most critical time, they fled. Not just Peter denied him, all of them fled. And Jesus hit on that and said, not just Jerusalem, go to all the world. And we still see it. And so there's hope. Amen. So when we talk about accountability, it's not much of grammar. It's you have to be answerable to a third party. You give them an assignment, the obligation to account for your activity, accept responsibility for them, and to disclose the result in a transparent manner. Some of us color our reports. Package. I don't want to use political words. Just blue color, red, yellow. That's not transparent. That's not Christian. That's not accountable. If you are accountable, you are given 500 naira to do a job. It's when you ask for reports that you have issues. Say, well, that's not my job. Talk to the secretary. You cannot be calling me, I'm the chairman. I can't be calling me for this thing. There is somebody that's already appointed for that one. Praise the Lord. You must be able to disclose the result in a transparent manner. It's a very long time and cover several issues and on and on. Okay, next slide. So you have it to read. Organization, I put this in another color. With high accountability and predictability are often preferred by donors and are more likely to get funded. Why is this so? If you are, let me give a simple example of my own local church. Now, for Morris is not here. Hear me now. Okay, my guys are here. In my own local church, we do budgets. You defend each department. Defend, have an economic team. You present a budget, you defend. And you can draw money based on the budget that's approved. Last time I was in such a position to do that, we were doing like 3.5 for president ministry for my local assembly. Now, our department year in, year out, we were winning the best department in the church. Like, we're very accountable. We spend 500,000 to go back to the church. This is how much was spent on this, and you list all the items. And the time that we collect money and we not spend, we return it. For like 4 years, we have budget for, what is it called? Rehabilitation. It was about 50,000. But because I insisted that on the some set metrics, that was probably their problem. We could not use the money. So we kept returning it to the church. I said, no, these are metrics that must be met before we will spend this money on rehabilitation. So the next year, I think a year that was that now wrote rehabilitation, the church refused. They said they're not going to give money for rehabilitation. I said, why? I said, because you've been returning this money. That meant you don't need it. But for me, I would rather be accountable. I would rather say, we are not spending this money because my concern then was some of the things I said that they couldn't mean. I said, see, we want to rehabilitate. It must be somebody we have worked with by the prison. It must be somebody that does not need the money for accommodation. It must have somebody in the agency that I can see. And he has a work that he has learned. And unfortunately, we couldn't get it. So the money we started returning it every year. We got award for it. My people were not happy. I felt it's rather good to be playing than. So, who are we accountable to? of course to God, to donors, project partners, local community, and so on and so on. Continue. You read all these ones. Okay. Now, this means that as you are responsible toward your beneficiary and entitled. For us, we are responsible to prisoner victims of rights, men of society at large. When you receive funding from a donor for the upliftment and improvement of life of this beneficiary, you are answerable to them. Now, how are we answerable to like the prisoners? We've given you money for, I mentioned this application. I said, well, we also need people, those of us who are volunteers. We can't use the 500 naira or 5,000 naira only for the prisoner. We need refreshment. And out of that 5,000, you cut 2,000 for refreshment. You are opaque. You are not transparent. You are misapplied form. Praise the Lord. If the government of Ben does not see you, God is seeing you. And accountability. So because your star organization core values, you must at all times submit report to project coordinators, give feedback to churches and other support groups, and issue receipts and appreciation letter to donors. Please go back to that. This is where most of us are failing, and this is why we are not getting the funds from those who have been supporting us. Because we fail to submit reports to their coordinator, this gentleman and lady here, and give feedback to the churches. We are all sent by different churches. So your church gave you 500,000 naira or whatever amount. Did you give them feedback on how the money was spent? If you have been faithful in doing that at our state chapter level, we should demand letters of appreciation. Please, my church has been sending me, they have contributed 100,000. Can you issue a letter of appreciation to my church? So your church knows that the money they gave you actually got to prison fellowship. And the prison fellowship also do letters that, okay, we've done so programs during the year. We are appreciating you. We received the sum of 100,000 naira from ABC Church Nigeria. You know, but once ABC. Okay, PDP Church Nigeria. What I'm saying is that once our churches begin to get proper feedback from us, they will be encouraged to do more. And when such letters get to the set man or set woman in our church, they will also be encouraged to maybe ask other volunteers to join us so that don't be, because I learned in some churches that one or two person that will do prison ministry. Some of us are even I'm going from the church without the sanction of the set man. Thank you, sir. We have been so you've been doing this thing for so many years. So why are they worried now? Why are they asking us? Yeah, continue, sir. So when you have well-built accounting system, you know, one of the very first time I read our full report, I asked, I said, how can Prison Fellowship Nigeria, we present in 23 state chapters then, have a total balance sheet of 5 million naira? Look ridiculous to me. Because I know in my local church, and I handle the form for more than 15 years, the minimum we get in a year is 3 million, minimum. And that is outside, that is what comes from the church, not what comes from the members. I'm sure the member will do like times 10 of that in terms of contribution to the things that we do. So I said, how can Prison Fellowship Nigeria total account? How many of us have read the account of Prison Fellowship? You've seen it before. Well, it's because we don't consolidate, we don't add the things we do. All those benefits in kind accounts, we don't, and I'm sure no state chapter does anything lower than what we are reporting in PF Nigeria. Well, how many state chapter have his account budgeted? Or even have an account at all? It's not part of the thing. We are all Christians. Amen. We need to do that. See, if we are approaching a big donor agency outside of PFN, they will ask for your accounts. Say, okay, let's look at what you have been doing before. And we can't even consolidate on what you people are. And you are doing a whole lot, but it's not simple. Thank you. These are benefits of why we need to be accountable. Okay, continue, sir. And almost bigger membership. The members that even start will continue to work with you and they will feel secure to work with an organization that is credible. Membership drive churches and the churches will become easier. Why? You do newsletter, oh, these are the things we are doing with your money. You know, maybe in your local city, there are small journals you write. Your state chairman goes on television and joins discussion topics, and then everybody gets to know us. Yes, sir. Okay? Third party bodies and evaluation. Develop your own set of self-revelation. This is considered one of the most effective to enhance accountability. Policy of keeping record, format for report, trip and view report, internal meeting, localized template. I'm attaching a template to this presentation. It's adapted from our annual account. You can localize it. So it will be sent to you, give it to your state chairman. And hopefully you start keeping in financial record. Hopefully. Stakeholder feedback continue. Improve communication, develop communication channels so that you can share your impact story with the market. You can do this through press releases, blogs, newspapers, video, post picture on our website, direct traffic to our site. How many of us have checked Prison Fellowshiip Nigeria site before? I'm not saying this year, before, at any point in time. Amen. Thank you. You know, when I left school, it's not as long as when in years ago. I left school in 89. I know school is continuous. If you want to apply for a job, you have to buy Guardian on Tuesday. How many of us remember? You'll be looking for Guardian on Tuesday. But now, the current generation, they will get the job on their app. I can't remember what I was trying to direct my contact to. Say, I read that book. I said, I was looking for that copy. She had already read the whole volume on her phone. Say, I have Kindle. I said, read what? I downloaded it. You know, things are moving. I used to buy the Economics, all those ones. It's only my wife that forces me to buy this paper now. On Sunday, she will buy lunch. And I don't read it, so she collect the money from me. And you know, I said, because I would have read anything that I want to read online. So it's only on Sunday, you come to my house, people that used to come and pack newspaper. You won't find newspaper to pack. It's only Sunday, she will buy lunch. Because I used to read this day. I used to quarrel, so I buy this day, then buy. But now I don't even buy. Because you can get those things online. Now, some of us are still stuck in 1905. We still stuck there. The world has moved on. The world has moved on. So if you are stuck there, you cannot reach the next generation. And see, most of those that either commit crime or victim of crime are in that generation. And if you are stuck in 1905, you won't be able to reach them. So if you yourself are not checking outside, how can you direct people to go to outside? Not even give them the wrong address. You know, you need to direct traffic to our side. If that site is active, believe me, there are people. See, things are so much changed that there are people that are they are called influencers, social media influencers. That's where they make money. You don't go to school to study that stuff. And I'm not talking about small money. There are some names if I mention, most of us are making, but people who are younger than us, they're not doing anything outside of that social media thing, and they are sitting on hundreds of millions. Big company wants to do anything, we just call them. How much you have to sell us to things? Give you 20 million. How much is not mine? Maybe it's 33, 32. this here, but once you post, millions of people will see it. And they won't go beyond. I'm not to ask 4 PAs. It's not because it's not married. So all I'm saying is we need to just shift. But the people committing this crime, they are not in our. So we need to direct traffic to our side. We need to participate in local and function. I know what Ikeja State was doing in the recent past. You see them meeting with people top notch in there. You need to be visible. So because you want to raise funds, nobody knows you are against it. Sometimes you mention PFN, say, oh, is that another church? Some people who ask, is that a church? Are you church? Well, then those some people know who are Christians and go, say, okay, you are Pentecostal Fellowshiip. You know? So it's because we want to remain, and some of us think it's an exclusive club. God wants us to join us. Amen. We need more. So we need to participate in local and state function, become visible by taking position. Our own, not, I didn't say go and be taking position on political things. Our own core mission during review and mission program is in partnership with known entities, partnering with well-established organizations, and then getting recognition and trust of people. When you have a mind share, you get the wallet share. If you can get their mind, you get their wallet. But when they don't know you, they don't see you, how would they? You just go and knock on something, you are facing pressure and say, is that a party? You are saying we are PFN, say, is that another political party? You know? They need to know you. They recognize for the world. Secondly, the organization entry for various awards. We were at, we met with the Controller General. And one of the things that he mentioned that I took to heart, he said, he got different awards. That some Boko Haram, 5 of them, sat for YM. They gave him an award for that. These are some of the things that maybe our local churches or we've done, but we did not publicize. So nobody knows. When he gets that award, you know what he does? He boosts their image. So people say, oh, I heard about PFN. I know the people that send those Boko Haram people. You know what Boko Haram is? People who are against Boko. For them now to go to school. So the CG got award. Private CG did not even know about it. One remote prison, somebody who just had a brainwave. Then it could even be PF people that push those things. But because we fail to push those things, nobody knows. So he gets their award. We say, okay, we are praying about it. Many of consider what members public in your office, that is if you have one, go to the list there, let people know. You should update the list whenever there is a change of member. Display their name on the office board and put journals, magazine, or any other media where they appear as easy reach of the community. So when they come to your office, you have a journal, you have a publication, you direct people to our site. Oh, you have a very lively site. Check our Facebook page, you know, things are happening. Still, you know your activity, you don't even post on that. You don't get to know that anything is happening to you. Okay, so small quote. Okay. Continue, sir. You are not even, you have done something for someone who can write you. I think that's at all. Like, thank you. The other one is not a slide, it's an attachment. It's it will help you to keep proper record, financial record. It might not be useful for you as coordinator. So I implore you to give it to your state chairman so that we begin to document. Maybe in the next 2-3 years, we should be able to consolidate, if not all the state chapters, but at least 60-70%, so that our own account will look good. Because you know, some of those donor agencies, they talk in dollars. When you convert 4 million naira to dollar and you want to approach, they just say people are not serious. We'll talk to some, because there is something that is called capacity. I know what I think somebody who says an economist. You know, they look at your capacity. If you want to borrow, I was elected banker for some few years. The capacity, what's your capacity? They say, you not even handle 50,000, you want to borrow 5 million. Nobody knows. because you don't have the capacity. You look at your total balance sheet, less than $100,000. You are now asking for grants. We don't treat this kind of. Thank you very much.